Welcome back to Austin's Academy of Sports, where today I will do an informal podcast about the new schedule release that happened last night for the Detroit Lions, my hometown NFL team. As most of my fans are Detroit Lions fans, so Detroit will be the main topic today. I will go through the teams, the projected starting depth chart, and who win-loss record, and if we will make the playoffs or not. So, without further ado, the first few games for preseason-wise start in the beginning of August, like they usually do. Right now, ESPN only has one out. It's the Lions versus the Panthers. It's the August 25th, Friday, 8 o'clock, nationally televised on CBS. Last preseason game, so there won't be very many starters playing that game. It'll just be for fun, I guess you could say, against the Panthers. And now we get into the nitty-gritty stuff. Opening day for NFL season is Thursday, September 7th, and just so happens to be that the Lions are on opening day against the defending Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs. They earned the spot, talking about the Chiefs as they're the defending Super Bowl champs. Lions are a little surprised there. They are up and coming for a lot of the NFL fans, but it's good to see that they're finally getting respect. And now they're playing opening day, just 118 short days away. Lions travel to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City to play the defending Super Bowl champs. I'm impressed that they got the game, but I'm not really that happy about it because that's going to be a very tough game. I'm glad to get it over with because we have to play them throughout the season, but I'm not really that happy with that game because it's my philosophy in sports, with Detroit sports, it's how you start, not how you finish. Because if you start, you can start well, like, 2-0, 3-0. You can afford to lose a few games in the middle of the season, and it won't hurt your playoff spot. And this year, I believe the Lions will make the playoffs. I'll talk about that later in the show, but I do believe they'll win the North with the departure of Aaron Rodgers. So, Lions and Chiefs, I have them losing that game, but keep sleeping on them. They appreciate the underdog mentality there, but I do think they lose that game. Week 2 is the home opener for the Lions. Seahawks at the Lions. This is a revenge game. I do see the Lions and Seahawks competitively playing in that game, but in the end, I do have the Lions winning with Jared Goff-led Lions. And his wide receivers will have an excellent game. Defense will step up and try and stop Geno Smith, and they won't try, they will stop him, and eventually they'll get the win. By the way, the Lions secondary last year and defense was terrible. This year, they've got a bunch of free agents, and now they drafted well, and they're looking like a great team, balance-wise. And then week 3, we have the Lions and the Falcons. That should be an easy win for the Lions, the first easy win of the year in downtown Detroit. Falcons, you don't really have the greatest quarterback. They just drafted the best running back in the class, who they're going to build around, and they have a solid defense, but Lions will win that game. Week 4, on prime time, Lions travel to Lambeau Thursday night, Amazon Prime Video game. I think the Lions get the job done, just because they beat the speculations last year when they went into Lambeau Week 18 prime time, and they beat the Packers to eliminate them from the playoffs. I think they can handle Lambeau. They've handled it before, and they get the job done. So 3-1 right there. Week 5, we have the Lions and the Panthers in Ford Field. I think the Lions dominate that game, unless Bryce Young, the number 1 pick in the draft, has a monster game. But I think the Lions dominate that one, move to 4-1. Lions and Buccaneers in week 6. I think the Lions get the job done. The Buccaneers just retired Tom Brady. Or Tom Brady just retired, I should say, and they don't have a quarterback. Granted, it is in Tampa, so that might be a little tougher, not a home game, but I think the Lions get the job done. They beat the Tom Brady-less Buccaneers, who have Baker Mayfield as their quarterback. And then week 7, Lions travel to Baltimore. That's a toss-up game right there. Jameson Williams comes back from his suspension that game. By the way, J-Mill got suspended a few weeks ago for gambling on the Detroit Lions facility, and per everybody's contract, you cannot gamble on a facility at any case. So he got a 6-game suspension. Week 7 is when he comes back against the Ravens, and it's in Baltimore. So that's kind of a toss-up, but I think the Lions lose that one, unfortunately. Lamar Jackson coming back, unless he's injured, they win the game. So that moves them to 5-2. Week 8, we have the Raiders and the Lions, Monday Night Football. Finally, a primetime game in Detroit. Detroit will be rocking that night. I can't wait. It'll be the day before Halloween. Great game, and I think the Lions get the job done. Live up to the hype. The next week, the Lions travel to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. Chargers are a great team. They have a chance. They're going to make the playoffs, but they have a chance of getting to winning the West with the Kansas City Chiefs in that division. So I think the Lions lose that game, and Justin Herbert has a fallen out party. And then the Lions return back home the next week to play the Bears. That's a dub. Unless Justin Fields runs all over the Lions defense, I think the Lions win that game. Actually, I think they win the next few games, because the next week they have the Packers coming to town. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers isn't on the Packers anymore. Lions will win that game, and if they don't, I'll be very surprised. The next week they travel to New Orleans, which is a little bit tougher of a game. I think the Lions win that game and move into first place in the NFC North. But the only way I could see the Saints winning that game is if Derek Carr and Jameson Williams, the ex-Lion, have like a great game. The defense steps up and stops Jared Goff, and it could be a trap game, but I'm not sure. So I think the Lions win that game, but don't quote me on it. The next game, the Lions travel to Soldier Field to play the Chicago Bears. That's going to be tough because it's on the road environment. But last year they won, so I think this year they duplicate that and beat the Bears. And then they come home to face the Russell Wilson-led Broncos. I think they win that game too. Russell Wilson has a disaster of a season, and Sean Payton, this is his first year coaching for the Broncos, so it's kind of a rebuild year. The Lions win that game. The following week, Christmas Eve, the Lions travel to Minnesota to play the Vikings. I have them losing that game in a tight one, though. It would probably be some miracle if the Lions won, but the Vikings will win that game on a last-second field goal, touchdown, because it'll be back and forth. The next game, the Lions travel to Dallas to play the Cowboys. I have them losing that game in AT&T Stadium. The Lions are the better team, but it's just the Cowboys, they always find a way to win, especially on prime time, which this game is on, and the Cowboys win that game. Finally, last game of the regular season, the Lions come back home to host the Vikings in a winner-take-all division, and the Lions end up winning that game and winning the NFC North. First time since 1993, because from 1994 to last year, they had Aaron Rodgers in that division pretty much, and he dominated that division. So it'll be the first time since the Lions win the North, and I predict they get the 3 seed in the NFC, or the 4 seed, 3 or 4 seed. And if they don't get the 3 or 4 seed, they'll get the 5 seed. They'll definitely make the playoffs this year because they're projected to win 12 of their 17 games, and the season hasn't even started yet. So that'll obviously go up a little bit more, maybe 13 to 17, but It'll be a great season. I'm looking forward to it. The improvement of the defense really got my attention in the off season. The draft wasn't as good, but I do like the draft. And I'm sorry about Jameson Williams. I wanted him to play a full season, but you got to read your contract and be able to not gamble on the NFL facility. So with that being said, Lions make the 3 seed, and they could potentially host a playoff game and win it. I could see them getting to the NFC Conference game, playing the 49ers or the Eagles. Go Lions this year. Remember, defend the den. One Pride Nation. Let me know what you think in the comments. See ya.